What's up guys, Claire here. So MSI is finally here, and if you're a LoL esports fan, then you're always really excited to see international teams face off against each other. Me personally, being a former Oceanic Pro player, I'm always excited to watch the OC representative play. That's kind of the main reason I watch MSI, apart from like playoffs and grand finals and whatnot. But yeah, this year we actually have a pretty spicy group. We have NA and EU in our group, so that's Evil Geniuses and G2 Esports. I kind of already briefly watched the games, but I decided like, why not do a VoD review, record myself watching the game, record my thoughts and what I think I'm seeing on the screen, and sort of like share it with you guys. I just thought it'd be a little fun thing to do. I'm by no means like a professional coach. I'm not a super high level analyst or anything, but I thought it'd be fun to record my thoughts as a former pro player and like kind of give you guys a little more insight from the perspective of a player going into these games. Just hopping straight into the game here. I think I just want to talk about the draft real quick. So there's a few things to take note of here. I think I give the edge to Order's draft. I think their win condition is it's more obvious, it's more concise, I guess. It's more clear. G2's win condition, so it's a bit over the place, but G2's bot lane, they want to play front to back. Um, their mid pick kind of wants to play into that idea that she wants to zone control, control river, control objectives, throw bubbles through walls, sort of like be places first and set up picks and not allow order to walk into objectives. Viego, he's pretty much good in any skirmish that you can put him in. He's a reset machine, so you put him in any fight. As soon as your team gets one kill, he starts popping off. And then they have Fiora. So Fiora wants to split push. Fiora doesn't want a team fight. She wants to get ahead in her isolated matchup and just create pressure, draw multiple members of the enemy team, and allow her team to win a outnumbered or number advantage fight, right? G2's win condition is a bit more, Order's win condition is a bit more easy to see, and they're all on the same page, I feel like. So Karthus is the main character of this comp. He's a high resource champion. He farms extremely fast. When he hits his items, he carries the game because his ult pretty much half healths the entire enemy team, and he just does an insane amount of damage. So he's just a hard carry, pure damage champion. And what you want to do is you want to pair him with two AD solo laners. So in this case, Order have opted into Aatrox and Yone. So G2 picked Zoe here, which was a bit interesting. I believe it was a blind pick Zoe. And Order responded with Yone. So Yone, I've talked to a lot of mid laners about this, and they seem to think that Yone wins this matchup. I think they all say that it's quite a skill matchup. It can go either way. Like Zoe does put a lot of pressure onto melee mid laners, but the main interaction to look around or like look at and think about is the Yone E versus Zoe E interaction, which is when you press E1 on Yone and you get hit by Zoe's bubble. When the bubble is about to pop on you, you press E2 and you completely negate the sleep ever happening. So you kind of use that in your trading pattern to get the most out of this lane. But that said, I don't really expect say Caps Yone versus Zoe to yield priority without some assistance from teammates. So that's a bit of insight in the mid lane matchup. And I think Order bot lane, Leona, MF, I honestly think they should probably get priority in this bot lane matchup. I think they should get it on early on and kind of get the tempo bases and pressure from the start. So I think Order's win condition is kind of clear. Like they just want casters to farm and they want to use their bot pro to enable their jungler and help their mid laner. G2 kind of wants to leave Fiora on an island, let her win the 1v1 while Viego looks to kind of match the pressure that comes from Order. I don't think G2's bot lane gets completely shoved into turret. I think that it's still playable. He wants to use G2, like Jankos wants to use Caps in the early game, I think. He wants to use the prior that his Zoe matchup should yield him. So going into the level 1, I think this is a bit interesting. Usually you don't see this. So Order puts their jungler mid on the initial fan, and they put Yone where the jungler would normally be. And you will see the reason why very soon. Another thing to note is that Corporal on Leona warded here, and Targamas on Braum warded the mid bot lane bush. Okay, so here it is. So Order sees G2 entering bot side, so they know they can do this. They have the all clear to walk in and do this, which is what they probably intended. But basically what happens here is that Order knows that their mid lane does not get priority. So Kisei knows that he's going to get pushed in by this Zoe and he's going to lose early. So he is opting to use his ward first. So they want Kisei to ward level 1 because once he enters the lane and he's 1v1ing Zoe, he's not going to get a window to get a deep ward like this ever again. He's going to be shoved in permanently. He's not going to get a chance to leave lane and ward. So they do the smart thing. They make him use his ward at level 1 and Kevin gets to keep his and ward essentially like at 3 minutes when you would expect your mid laner to ward. So that is the reason for this fan. It's like a really small thing. It's a slight tech. I think it's smart. Kind of threw me off when I was watching their fan and I instantly realized what was going on. So pretty standard start. Karthus is looking to start blue buff with a leash and Yankos is starting topside with no leash. Now this is pretty huge. Before I go into that, I just want to talk about this bot lane real quick actually. This is really interesting actually, and I'm not 100% sure of what is happening here, but from looking at it, it's really interesting and I kind of have the gist of it, or this is what I think is going through their minds. So Order knows that G2 warded this bush. Like they most likely know that this is warded. You should always expect this to be warded in a competitive game. And G2, I believe G2 knows that Order hasn't warded this. So what you're going to see is Corporal walks the lane, face checks this bush, kind of wants to get in there before G2 does. I think this was a bit YOLO. This was a bit crazy because they could have been there. They could have absolutely been there, I'm pretty sure. Unless they had information on it. So Corporal face checks. He sees them. He says, oh shit, he runs back. Now, usually, how this mid bot bush plays out is that you sweep it and you clear it and then you control it. But how he chooses to play it is a bit interesting to me. So he doesn't have it up yet, otherwise he would have already cleared it. The red trinket is coming up now. So this is really interesting, and if you're a bot laner, I mean, this probably doesn't apply to you, but I think this is really fun to watch. This is what I think is happening. So Corporal is popping his red trinket here, and he's entering the bush. So they have no vision of this bush now. He wants to look for a Q on probably Braum. Like he's never gonna land a Q on Aphelios. But he can land a Q on Braum when Braum face checks. G2 sees that the bush is being red trinketed, and they're stepping back and they're like, okay, we're gonna wait for him to hit the ward, and then we're gonna poke him out of the bush. But Corporal here doesn't actually auto the ward. Puma does. Puma autos the ward, and then they get instantly forced out of this bush. Now you might be thinking like, this is so troll. Why didn't Corporal hit the ward? Why didn't they clear the ward and keep control of the bush? Well, the answer is like, if they both ordered this, like if they ordered this ward, right, they would be giving so much lingering vision that G2 can respond with like a bunch of auto attacks and probably push them out, you know? Which is what would have happened. Like if Corporal hit the ward, like this would have happened anyway. Like he would have lost a bunch of HP and they would start getting run down and Braum would have his Q up soon. So I think what Corporal wanted to do is he wanted to stand right here and use his entire sweeper duration to just stand here and not hit the ward and make it so that Targamas is never allowed to enter this bush. Because if Braum ever walks right here, the owner just pops her head out of the bush, auto Qs him, and then MF follows up and they get a good trade. And they win incrementally from that. And then this ward is lasting like 30 seconds. It has 30 seconds left, right? There's 30 seconds left in this ward. If Leona like gets a good trade, then they're completely chilling here. But I think Puma made a mistake autoing the ward and they got forced out of the bush. Because if you look at his sweeper, right, his trinket would still be on. So I think his play was he would still be standing here. Brom would have to be sitting back here. Aphelios would be standing back, and then like MF could stand here, right? MF could stand outside of the bush right here, auto minions and auto either Brom or Aphelios whenever they walk close, and Leona could do the same thing, and they would just like constantly walk in and out of the bush and kind of get priority on this first wave. But because there was an error, I think it was an error, Puma ordered the ward. They ended up getting forced out of the bush and not getting the trade that they wanted. So they lost a lot of HP, and now they don't get priority on the wave. So I think that's a bit interesting. I'm not sure exactly what happens, because I don't think Order is stupid. I don't think they're stupid players. Like, they're extremely good players. So it's strange to me that Corporal was just standing there not hitting the ward. So that's what I think was going on in that level 1 exchange. But anyway, we go into the game. Fiora gets to start in lane. That's fine. That's Fiora's win condition. She wants to start in lane. She wants to beat this Aatrox. Karthus is pathing down with a leash, so he is extremely accelerated in the jungle matchup. Now, Karthus here is on his 4th camp, while Viego is only starting his 3rd camp. So Karthus is essentially like a full camp and a camp and a half up, because he is hitting his red buff right now. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is 5 camps from Karthus, and Viego is still hitting his 3rd camp. So I think what could have happened here is this is 230. So this is the cannon wave timing. So this bot lane wave, I don't know if you can see it, but every wave coming out of base right now is a cannon minion wave. And I think if Order bot lane had played their level 1 well, I think they would actually have push here. I think they would be getting priority and potentially crashing a 3rd wave into G2's bot lane turret, which it would be about like probably like 20 seconds from now that the wave would be crashing, and it would line up with Karthus being able to do red, and they could potentially even enter G2's bot side jungle. Now, do I think that they actually win a skirmish in G2's bot side jungle? I think it's unlikely. I think the pressure from Zoe right now is too much, so I don't actually think they can fight in G2 bot side, even if they got a really good crash onto G2's bot turret. But I think there's a missed opportunity where Leona could actually be walking mid around this timing. So right now, Karthus probably could be doing Krugs still. If he's not entering G2's bot side jungle, he's doing Krugs, and Leona is walking mid and looking to get some pressure on Zoe, push her out. If they get priority, so this is what happens. If Leona walks mid on this timing right now, after crashing this bot wave, actually it would crash in like, let's say when would this wave crash? I'll say if they do it well, it's crashing like anywhere from now to the next 10 seconds. So it could line up with Karthus doing Krugs first as well. So Leona could run mid around this timing. They could get priority for Yone. They could even walk in and screw with Viego on his blue buff. Karthus can do his Krugs and then do Crab. He can skip his Krugs and walk with Leona mid, and then they could walk in to do blue buff. Like, there's a lot of options here. If Order bot lane has prior, and with the insane tempo that Karthus has, like, they could have gotten their Yone out of this mid matchup. They could have gotten mid pushed into the mid turret, and they could have invaded bot side jungle. They could have taken bot Crab. Karthus could have opted to skip his Krugs or do his Krugs and still probably make it to this Grump. So there's a lot of opportunities here that I think kind of exploded the early game. So not being able to do these things kind of made the early game hard for G2, as you'll see. But anyway, Kevy realizes that his bot lane's getting pushed in. He's not going to be able to get bot Crabs, so he just recalls and runs top, which crazily enough, he makes it to the Crab essentially at the same time as Viego. Like, he does the Crab at the same time as Viego, which is a bit crazy considering he had the recall. But he went from being up like a camp and a half to pretty much being the same tempo now, off of pathing towards a side of the map that didn't have priority. So here, I think on Viego's timing to go bot lane here, I'm not sure what this wave state is. I think they could probably crash a wave. And I'm also not sure what mid's wave state is. Like, this is just the pain of like watching a VoD from spectator point of view and not having the actual replay file. But if Zoe has a really good wave mid, which I think she should be able to in the completely isolated 1v1 matchup, I could see a universe where she runs bot lane and they look for a 4-man dive. Now, do I actually think that G2 can dive order bot lane? I think it is extremely coin flip. Yone especially has TP, so that could go disastrous for them. So I like that they opt not to go for this dive. Um, it is just something to think about. Like there is an opportunity there, but Order's staying pretty healthy for the most part. They have cleanse on Misfortune, and Leon is really tanky, so I don't actually think they can execute this dive without it being really risky. So they don't go for it. Viego hovers bot lane in case Karthus is there. Uh, he's recalling now, and Karthus shows top. So Karthus doesn't have a play anymore. So we talked about it before. Karthus' win condition is just rotating his jungle off cooldown, clearing every camp as they spawn over and over and over until he has a massive gold lead and EXP lead. Right now, he has nothing to do, so he shows up top lane. He wants to help Aatrox get a base off here, which is his goal. I think he probably should have stayed for the next one. It was a bit troll. Broken Blade does the right thing and he keeps the freeze here. But he goes back top. He allows this wave to crash. They get it in. Karthus gets a bit of EXP and a bit of gold, and they're chilling. They crash this wave that Aatrox has been... This is the bounce that got created from Fiora starting in lane, crashing a few waves into Aatrox's turret, and then Aatrox slow pushes out, and he's down a lot of CS now. He's down like probably 25 CS. Sorry. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say Fiora gets all this CS. She's sitting at 35, so he's down like almost 20 CS. Quite a lot. But yeah, Karthus goes back to his win condition. He goes back to cycling his jungle. Order mid lane is getting pushed in. Order bot lane is getting pushed in. The early game is quite rough for Order. I think if the bot lane played out a bit differently, I think we would be seeing a completely different map state right now. But, you know, like, Order, I mean, G2 are just really good players. So, like, you can't really expect things to always go the way that they can, or they should. So here, something interesting to note is that Targamas, instead of recalling when they crash the bot wave, he opts to just run up and go to the Raptor camp here. Now, I'm not sure if this was a premeditated play from G2 or if Targamas was just looking at Kisei low HP under the turret. Either way, he's essentially spending his... He has a large amount of tempo up on Leona because they got such a good wave crash timing. So instead of spending it recalling and running on the map, he decides to run on the map straight away. And this ends up resulting in them kind of countering Order's win condition. So while Karthus is doing his jungle cycle down, G2 go for a Raptor camp steal. So with Brom's move, as you can see, Leona is only coming out of base now, and Brom's already just sitting here. They get to take Raptors from Kevi. And this is extremely good for G2 because they recognize that getting levels and farm is Order's win condition on this Karthus right now. Like, they need him to get EXP and gold to carry the game. So they take a Raptor camp away from him. That's actually quite huge. Jankos takes the camp and instantly goes back to his top side and does his full cycle down. Kevi has to skip his Raptors and hit the Krugs. Now here is a bit of an unfortunate situation. We get a solo volley from the Zoe into Yone matchup. And this is pre first recall. So Yone has been sitting in lane for a long time. I think he probably had the chance to use his TP at some point, opted not to, and he's kind of playing with fire now. I think what happened is Kisei didn't expect Caps's level 6 timing on the Zoe. I guess I'll explain it when the replay shows up. He uses TP back mid, and now he's in the back foot. Top lane's getting pushed in, and bot lane is kind of in a neutral state because Targamas used a turn to take the Raptor camp. But as soon as Targamas is back in lane, Order will be losing pressure in the bot lane, especially with the jungler being on top side. Yep. So G2 is pushing into order bot lane once again. I think this isn't necessarily the winning matchup from G2 anymore. Um, I think like order technically could still win this lane, but a lot of times like G2 is playing their waves really well when Karthus is on the other side of the map, so order has to respect. And then they're also just getting the first base so they can be in lane first to set up the waves the way they want them to. So G2 bot lane isn't necessarily stronger here. I feel like there's still a universe where Order bot lane can contest this push, but they're constantly having to give it because G2 is just playing really well around their windows and their jungle tracking. And again, it's kind of snowballed from the level 1. So what happens here is G2 gets power on bot wave, they're pushing bot lane into the turret, and they recognize that Karthus is topside. So so Jankos opts to hit Dragon, which is what is happening live. Right now we're going to the replay. So Caps hits 6 here. Kisei doesn't respect it. He opts to go for the owl play, so he's sidestepping to the right when Zoe R's forward to try and dodge the bubble, but Caps plays well and predicts the movement and gets the solid volley. Now, I think if Yone uses E1 as soon as Zoe R's forward, he probably lives, but very likely he has to blow a flash. So, yeah. I mean, Kisei TP's back to lane. He's already this low HP, so this is going to be a really rough one for him. G2 got to hit Drake. Kevy is instantly running topside to trade. So, Kevy knows here that there's no universe where Order can contest this dragon. He has nothing to take on bot side, so he just sprints top. He says, I'm the win condition. I'm going to carry this game. I'm just going to play for myself here. You guys are all on your own. Now, there is a universe where Order bot lane get dove here. To me, it's a bit interesting that they don't opt into a dive after this dragon. I think they should know that Karthus is going topside and their top camps are most likely dead. So, depending on mid lane state, I honestly think on this cannon wave, Caps can probably push this wave and G2 can fast push this cannon wave and they can do a 1 wave dive. They opt not to do it. There is potential that Order just backs off from the 1 wave. Because it's only 1 wave, you're not that afraid of losing it. So that's kind of why 1 wave dives are really weak. But it's a bit surprising to me that Jankos just opts to completely reset. I think he's probably sitting on a lot of gold. A decent amount of gold. He wants to go back topside, but realistically, he should probably expect his top camps to be dead. And here is this is quite an insane play from Biopanther. But also a bit messy from Broken Blade. So Jankos recalling here, if his intention is to cover Broken Blade, I don't think he ever makes it in time here. I think this wave is already decided before Viego ever makes it top. And to be honest, I don't really know how this wave state is even like this. It's quite a weak lane and it's quite a weak wave state. It's gonna take a long time to crash this, so you kind of don't want this wave state when you know Karthus is topside, but either way, we'll talk about the solo kill here. This is kind of a super play from Biopanther. He's in the losing matchup and he's getting a solo volley. I think this was quite misplayed from Broken Blade. He didn't W anything. He W's the... Oh, I think he W's Q1 and the and Aatrox W at the same time, but that leaves him vulnerable after. Okay, he just W's the Q1 and gets sucked in, and then... Yeah. So his W was just a pretty poor W. He gets solo killed in the counter matchup. That really doesn't feel good, but that is really good for Order, actually. Your losing lane is kind of getting out by itself. So now the map state, it's kind of back to normal if you just look at the junglers. Karthus is doing his clear down and Viego is also about to do his clear down. Actually, no, he's not. So here, I just want to talk about Rift Herald timing. So this is perfect Rift Herald timing. This is probably like 30, 40 seconds before Rift Herald spawns. This is when you want to be thinking about the objective. Now, there are a few factors that play into this Rift Herald. So this is Karthus's timing to clear down the map. So if he wants to play to farm and whatnot, then he is clearing away from Rift Herald. But also along with that fact, even if Order wanted to contest Rift Herald here, they have no way. So there's no one that can help him, and no one that can be at the Rift Herald in time besides Aatrox. Aatrox is the only person that can be there because Aatrox has TP. So what is happening in this lane state is Order's bot lane is completely shoved under turret wave after wave after wave. So they can't ever be first to Rift Herald. And G2 knows this, right? So Jankos knows that no one can come to Drake. Like his mid lane has prio, his bot lane has prio, and the only person he's really worried about is Aatrox, but he's not really scared of no ult, no flash Aatrox, and Aatrox, he knows Aatrox is recalling anyway, so he just opts to hit this Rift Herald. There's no universe where Order bot lane could ever make it here, and as you'll see in a moment, G2's bot lane is about to reset. So both G2 bot laners are recalling because they know that this Rift Herald's up, and they want to hit it straight away. The whole time, they can see Order bot lane sitting bot. They can see Misfortune sitting bot. Just random replay of the solo kill again. And I think they saw for a brief moment that Leona was moving up, but they have vision here, here, and here. So they know that Order isn't moving up the map. And Targamas, he actually was pathing out of base towards Rift Herald, so he's pathing mid in case something was to happen at the Rift Herald. But he sees that it's not being contested, so he just runs back bot side. Now, what does Order do? What does Kevy do when he sees Rift Herald is being taken? Because Biopanther actually did check this, and they did get vision that Jankos was taking this. Kevy opts into trading, so essentially it's the same thing that happened at the Dragon. Kevy's walking to the other side of the map and looking to get some gold there. Now, he walks in, and I believe he takes blue buff here. So, you don't really want to trade Rift Herald for blue buff, but this is like the only thing you can do with the current map state. So, I think Kevy and Corporal, they would have loved to walk in further and go for Gromp, go for Wolves, and potentially even Skirmish here, with Misfortune eventually moving off the wave. But unfortunately, their mid lane is kind of a gaping hole of pressure right now, and Zoe can just collapse, and they probably lose if they Skirmish here. So they have to exit. Kevy only gets a blue buff for the Rift Herald trade, and they just have to exit. They're kind of sad. For the most part, Order is just losing. The gold is actually really even, but that's kind of because of the random top solo kill and Karthus's jungle tempo. But if you think about the objectives, G2 is doing extremely well in the early game. Now here, Viego paths straight from Rift Herald to Order bot side jungle. This is because he knows that his blue buff got taken. I think he knows his Wolves and Gromp are still up, but he opts not to go for them. He wants to fight instead. Now, I think this could be a good play for G2, but honestly, Jankos is too early. And he's also throwing here. Not throwing, but he's trolling quite hard. So his bot lane, as you can see, they're dealing with a wave right now. They're coming late. Order has the first move to this play. They also have an extremely good ward that Corporal placed here. I don't know when he placed it, and I don't know why he placed it here, considering their red buff is not even up. But this ends up paying dividends for them. So Jankos walks in. He actually cues where the red buff would be. He should know that Kevy took the red buff like 2 minutes ago. It was ages ago, so I'm not really sure what he's thinking here, but he's here way before his team is, and there's not even a red buff to fight over. So he ends up getting spotted on this. His mid has push, which is good. His bot lane is about to get push, which is good, but he is just in here way too early. So he gets flash queued by Leona. They use everything on him. Karthus channels R. Yone presses W and gives the kill, which is good, and Jankos gifts Kevy a free kill. Now, this was an interesting play. When I watched this, I was a bit confused. I'm not really sure what Jankos' goal was here. Oh yeah, and this solo kill as well. So that is two strange plays that shouldn't be happening in a row. So I think Viego is just going in way too early. I'm not really sure what happens there. Bit of reckless play, but you know, not complaining as an OCE boy. And then we have here Kisei going for, this is what you would call a super play. This is when like a super play is essentially when you like make like a good mechanical play in a game or map state that is losing for you. So here like the map state is kind of doomed for order. Kisei is losing this mid matchup. He shouldn't really be getting a solo kill once he's this far behind, but I think Caps overplays a bit. He takes a turret shot here. He's low on mana. He has no flash. Kisei recognizes all these conditions and he just flashes forward and goes for the solo kill. This is a really good play from Kisei, recognizing that he can go for this. So props to him. I think Caps played a bit recklessly here. So now the gold is actually quite even, which is crazy. The gold should not be even at this point. G2 is winning objectives. They're getting prior in lanes. All 3 lanes, actually. And yet the gold is even. And that is just off of these 2 solo kills. Like 2 solo kills in top lane and mid lane. And Jankos entering and trolling, to be honest. So the map state, once again, Karthus is looking to cycle down the map. Viego comes out of base after trolling, does crab, and he is also looking to do the same thing. Now, the next objective on the cards is Drake here. So Order want to set up, G2 want to set up Drake. They're getting prio in all their lanes. So they should be able to take this Drake quite easily. We're looking at this replay again. Once again, Viego is just entering the jungle without his team. You always want to link up with your team when you're making plays like this. A bit crazy from Viego on G2. Now, the map state is Karthus has full cleared down the map and pressed to recall because they have no business controlling both sides of the map. And G2, Viego cleared down the map and is linking up with support and they're taking vision control. They have control first, they have priority in mid and bot, and they know that their next objective is Dragon and they want this. Order instantly knows that they are not able to enter this. So, as a matter of fact, I should talk about this first. I actually missed this. I forgot about this. G2's next play is not actually Dragon. It is Rift Heralding bot lane. So they link up, they get control of bot side river. They know that on the exit of the bot lane play, they want to get Dragon too. And I believe there's not actually anything that Order can do to stop this. So G2 just has too much priority in mid and bot lane that they can just build the wave and crash it with Rift Herald. Even if Karthus runs bot and tries to defend, like he's just wave clearing under the turret with his bot laners. And Zoe will move eventually. So like there's not actually anything that Order can really do about this Rift Herald. This is just like bot lane turret already being 3 plates and G2 bot lane having permanent priority. So Kevy just says, screw it. I'm not going bot side. We can't even defend if I'm there anyway. Corporal has the same idea. They look to go mid. They look to get a bit of priority mid to like get some breathing room on the map. But ultimately, they don't really have a play. And I think they realize this and Kevy decides to beeline topside. Now he is a bit late here on recognizing this play. I think he could have recognized this on the deploy that they can't defend bot side. But this is really fortunate actually. If Order didn't have Misfortune as their AD carry champion, they actually would have got this inner turret with how big the wave is. The Rift Herald will charge the turret and they'll be able to order this turret and likely I want to say likely they'll get the turret, but at the same time, this is actually really fightable on this turret if Karthus comes down. And G2 doesn't actually know where Karthus is right now, so I don't think they plans to get this turret at all. I think they just wanted to charge. But luckily, MF just clears the whole wave and kills the Rift Herald with her ult, so that is actually really huge. Rift Herald doesn't get the charge, and G2 has to back off now because they have no play left. They're running back to do Dragon, and Kevy once again doing the same thing for the 3rd time now, looking to trade on the other side of the map. And I think this is a good play from Order. Like, this is what you should be doing, but I think this is a bit trolled by Broken Blade. I think his wave state is not where you want it to be, and he gets punished for that and has to blow his flash. He should know that Karthus is coming topside at this point, and he probably did and said, I'm just going to outplay it, which he kind of did. He flashed away from the gank, And after the dragon, G2 instantly recalls and goes topside. They do not want to give Karthus and Aatrox any of these plates. They also don't want to really give him any camps, but he gets away with a Krug camp. Right now, I believe, yep, so G2 are looking to lane swap topside because the next objective that is spawning, I don't think there's an overlay for it, but the next objective is the Rift Herald. They want second Rift Herald this game, so they send their bot lane top and they want to play through the top lane to allow their bot lane to get priority and push for the Rift Herald. Order instantly realizes this and they also send their bot lane top lane. So they want to match here. They don't really want to put their Misfortune and Leona in the long lane, and if they do send Aatrox top, I think Order just takes the Rift Herald, pushes Aatrox away. Aatrox can't farm anything, and they break 2 turrets. And in that time, Misfortune, Leona, like they can't really get much done on the bot side of the map. The turret is still 5 plates. Rom can easily run across the map to protect the Fiora as well, so Order just opts into matching the lane assignments. Now, something that is a bit interesting here is that, in my opinion, Order actually can contest this Rift Herald. So, matching the lane assignments is the right call, but this right here was an extremely illegal moment. So, Corporal is entering the top river, and he's autoing this ward completely off tempo. His ADC is stuck under turret, and all of G2's topside is rotating into this river right now. So he is essentially, he was cheating tempo, and he pretty much got away with it. But what he chooses to do here is he re-engages with ER and looks to one-shot Viego. Now, I think fighting here is, I want to say it's troll because you're outnumbered, but sometimes a quick pick like this can be really good. The problem is Yone doesn't have ults. So if Corporal had comboed ER onto Viego like this, and then Yone pressed E, and Yone had R and lined up a 3-man ult here, I think there is a universe where Order wins this fight just by essentially outplaying and out-mechanicking G2. Because if you look at it, it's currently a 4v3 fight. But unfortunately, Yone doesn't have the ult. I think he blew it earlier when Braum roamed mid and he got Zoe bubbled or something. So they don't have Yone ult. They blow the engage. They don't have Misfortune. They don't have Yone ult. They lose the fight. And I think this Rift Herald was actually really fightable for them, but they end up giving 2 kills and losing Rift Herald, and now they have to concede their top side. So Misfortune can't sit under top turret. She'll get dove. She goes to farm mid instead. Yone's dead anyway, so she can do this. And Karthus says, well, screw this. I can't go topside. I can't do anything. So I'm going to run bot side and trade once again. So if we look at this map state, Viego's just hitting Rift Herald. Braum goes mid for some relic stacks and to help Zoe get a wave in. And Kevy tried to walk into river, but walked on vision, and they looked to zone him out. But here is where I think this is really obvious, and Broken Blade is trolling. So if I'm the coach of G2 here, I'm roasting Broken Blade. Your team is getting so much topside. So G2 is getting Rift Herald, they're getting mid push, they're getting top tier 1. They probably will get top tier 2 with the Rift Herald completion. So Broken Blade, like, being up this far and allowing Order to get a trade is quite troll. So as we'll see, like, this is so obvious. Kevy's already done it 3 times this game. He's running to the complete opposite side of the map when one side of the map is given up. So they're giving up top side, and Kevy says, screw it, I'm going bot, and I'm going to go see what I can do bot. And he actually gets a kill on this Fiora, which he should not be playing up like that at all, whatsoever, especially with no vision. And essentially, he gifts Kevy a free kill when, if you look at this map state right now, and if you look at the scoreboard, so let's say this turret's dead. So I pause it right before the turret dies, but the turret will die. Actually, let's just play it out. If you look at this map state, G2 has bot outer, top outer, and top inner. This turret is worth 600 gold, by the way. They've taken 2 dragons and 2 rift heralds. They are absolutely dominating in the objectives department. But then you look at the scoreboard and you see a 0-2 Fiora, a 0-1 Viego, and a 1 death Zoe, right? Let's think about where these deaths occurred. Fiora got solo killed. Fiora trolled one time just then at bot. Viego trolled when he entered bot side jungle and his team wasn't there and he just died and got collapsed on. And Caps, he overplayed and got solo killed by Kise. If none of these kills occurred, this game would be a complete wash. Now, do I think G2 played bad? No. I don't think G2 played fundamentally bad. I think their macro plan for the most part was sound, and I think they played towards it quite well. But it's just like these reckless errors and these reckless mistakes that made this game not as much of a blowout as it should have been. Like the gold has been so even the entire game. And that's not to say Order hasn't been playing well. Like they traded when they needed to. They instantly identified that they couldn't win these fights, so they went to trade and they capitalized on some mistakes, you know, like G2 made a lot of mistakes in these isolated deaths and Order was able to capitalize on it. So I think for the most part G2 are playing much better than Order, but I think some of these reckless errors are being capitalized on by Order and allowing them to stay even in the game. So that's kind of my summary of what's going on here. We'll just continue on with the game. So yeah, we're opting to trade here. Aatrox is just hitting bot turret. I believe Kevy is in the bot side jungle right now of G2, trading some gold. And like after all this, it's 3 turrets to now 1. And there's been 4 objectives going the way of G2. And the gold is only 3k gap. And yeah, here's just another example of G2 just kind of trolling. I mean, Blackhead's recalling on a ward. He's playing a bit crazy. Not really respecting, I would say. And honestly, this is a dub for the OCE boys. We take those, honestly. But yeah, once again, quite a mistake from G2, giving over some extra gold that isn't necessary to give over. So Yone, he kills Aphelios. He knows that he has extra time to crash a wave, so he pushes one more. Bit of a fight happening mid. Nothing consequential. So Yone here crashes top wave, and if he bases, he is actually. Let me see his items. Okay, watch the replay, blah blah blah. Okay. So when I do a tab check here, actually let me see that. I believe someone just died. Okay, so I believe Kevy dies here. There'll be a replay for this later. I'll show you guys, but this was a bit troll. However, let's completely ignore this death, disregard this death, and look at the scoreboard. Look at the items right now. So I do give the edge to Order's team comp in terms of skirmishing. However, I don't think they're in a state or at the stage right now where they win fights. I think Yone probably needs to finish his mythic. Karthus needs pen boots and probably his Shadow Flame, and then he can be an absolute monster in these fights. Locket on Brom and Leona having no mythic is also quite a big factor. And Aatrox is kind of just chilling. I think MF is kind of chilling too. She's behind a decent amount of gold, but if she presses R, she's still going to be really strong. So here, I would say if you're Order, you're still not strong enough to confidently win this fight. And even if you were, G2 is on the map earlier than you, and they're getting control, and you're going to get hit by a Zoe bubble, and your life is just going to be hell. So I think the right play here is, if Karthus hadn't died, just send Yone back top. Just send him top, let him farm top, let him hit top tower, leave Aatrox mid, let Aatrox clear bot wave and clear mid, just kind of defend turrets for a bit, and keep scaling until next objective. But what ends up happening is G2 get a nice pick on Karthus. They know that it's free dragon, and Order says, oh shit, okay, we're going to trade here. So Biopanther TP's top as like an oh shit reaction, and Kisei is the one who is covering bot wave. G2 take the opportunity before Drake spawns to get some damage on the turret because they have number advantage. That's a good play from them. And Caps looks to run down here and hits bot turret with Broken Blade while Jankos hits Dragon, and G2 bot lane is looking to hit mid on the next wave. Now, I think there probably shouldn't be a universe where Fiora gets this turret. I think if Order are smart, they know that mid turret is dead anyway, so they run bot side every single time. And what ends up happening is that Broken Blade is overstaying on this turret and disrespecting. He sees the Yone get bubbled, he wants to go forward, and he gets Yone ulted. Honestly, this is just more of G2 playing like really reckless and borderline disrespectful. I don't think they would try and go for that turret in a higher stakes match against a better team, because I think you get punished for it every time. Like, it's so obvious that Order can't defend their mid outer, so they have no other play to make than to run bot lane and defend the turret, right? So I think it was a bit greedy by by G2 to go for that turret, but you know, they do it. Order capitalizes, and the map state is suddenly looking pretty good for Order now. With those kills bot, with the mid turret, with being able to crash the bot wave, if we look at the gold, it's literally a 600 gold gap. It is such a minuscule gold gap. This is just the replay of Kevy dying mid. He didn't respect the Everfrost on Zoe, which is, it's a bit of an interesting mythic to run. You don't really see Everfrost on Zoe, especially Zoe being sole AP. You would think that Ludens has a lot of value, but the Everfrost tech is pretty good. It works really well with Zoe. You can then Everfrost forward. So yeah, he picks Kevy like that, and then G2 does a bit of trolling bot lane. Now we look at this map state. Yone is really strong in the side lane. So if we can isolate Yone with Zoe and leave them in the 1v1, Yone is extremely happy. Aatrox can probably hold his own against Fiora right now. And Karthus is probably should still do his job of just farming and waiting for next objective. While Order bot lane looks to keep mid lane in a neutral state. Don't allow Targamas and Flakked to move around the map, and let your side laners catch up on farm. So here, Kisei goes for a 1v1. He stacks his Q on the Krugs and then looks to engage on Zoe. He gets TP'd on by Broken Blade. Now, this is extremely worth it for Kisei. It was essentially a no investment play, and he gets a TP out of it. This was a bit scary. His Q got riposted, and he got stunned. That was a bit scary, but Broken Blade doesn't go for it. Probably a bit scared of inting now at this point. But now, this is an extremely chill map state, and I think this is Order's window to go out on the map and get some pressure and get some vision control now. So I think well, Leona only has one ward, so they should probably get pushed on this mid wave. Like, they are strong as a 3. Aatrox is coming out of base. Yone is getting pushed inside because Yone is actually really strong now. And they should at least get one ward on Baron. So what I want to see is Order moving topside, which is what they do. Oh no, this is when they pick Braum. So they look to go topside, and G2 is posturing when they're outnumbered. So this is really reckless by G2. They don't have information on Aatrox, and I don't even think their 3 is necessarily that strong into Order's 3. I think it's a really close matchup, and if Leona gets an engage, like as you can see here, it is really easy to kill a champ on G2. Now, this is the big turning point in the game. This is the ultimate play in the game that everything leads up to. Order in this window, in my opinion, should have gotten vision on Baron. Look for a reset on Leona so she can get more wards and come out on the map and start looking to pressure when all your champions are strong. And eventually fight the Dragon Soul. If Yone shows up to a skirmish, if Karthus has pen boots, if Aatrox has his Death's Dance, team fights can very easily go the way of Order. But here, Order get a pick, and in the spur of the moment, adrenaline's running high, they call to hit Baron. So, doing Baron, there should be a fundamental checklist for when to hit Baron and when not to. A few things like if you ace them, that's a no-brainer, free Baron. If you kill some enemy champions, you have a number advantage and they can't win a fight against you, so you just do Baron. But some things that are extremely underrated is that I don't think you should ever hit Baron when you have no vision. And I mentioned before, Leona only had one ward. So if Order chooses to hit this Baron, they have absolutely zero vision around this entire wall. They have no vision over any of it. They have no wards in G2's jungle. They don't even have a ward in like the mid lane side bush or the dot bush. They don't have any vision on the top side where Zoe is. So they hit Baron with no vision. They're missing 3 ults. No Yone ult, no Misfortune ult, no Leona ult. And they are versing a Zoe who poke champions are extremely good at stopping teams from doing Baron. So Order, the adrenaline's high. They decide to hit Baron after picking Braum. Probably the least important target in the game. Of all the champions to kill, Braum is probably maybe Fiora. Maybe Fiora is the least relevant champion in this group fight. But as you can see, Zoe R's over the wall and like pokes like 3 people at once. Everyone on Order is extremely low HP. And they just get completely rinsed at the Baron. So, in my opinion, this was I want to say like a stage fright call or like a spur of the moment, adrenaline fueled call. And that is Order seeing that they got a pick and it's 20 minutes and Baron spawned and they're playing Karthus and they can melt the Baron really fast. But in reality, if they look back at this, if Order looks back at this play, they are really what am I trying to say? They're really they're hating themselves right now. Like they hate themselves for making this poor decision because they know that this was never the right decision. They know that this was the wrong thing to do, and if they had just played slow, like they actually have a legitimate win condition in this game now. They just played a bit too rushed, too forced here. They fell under the pressure, in my opinion. And G2 is breathing a sigh of relief that these guys are throwing. We've thrown so much, but enemy team is throwing by hitting Baron. And honestly, this is the big turning point in the game, in my opinion. Everything after this is just consequential of that play. Like, G2 can push. They opt into 4-1, which is what you should do. In most games, when you have Baron, you shouldn't play more than 2 lanes for the most part. You want to play 2 lanes and hover in between both your mid and your side laner. So here they hover towards Fiora. Drake spawning in 30. They opt not to do it. They want to maximize their Baron usage, so they run bot. They see Aatrox top, so they're free to hit this turret. However, the ADC and support are mid. So there's only 3 of them on this bot wave. They're a bit scared to hit turret, so they don't go for it. It's fair enough. It's the right play. Syncing up your waves is probably the best thing to do here, but honestly, G2 can't really get punished from this position, so eventually Aphelios does come bot. I think this was an inefficient use of Baron. I think if you were going to run bot and look to siege this bot turret, I think Aphelios should have switched positions with Fiora, and Fiora should be standing mid ready to collect the next mid wave because Aatrox, Misfortune, Leona, Karthus, Yone, I don't think they can actually engage on Braum, Aphelios, Viego, Zoe and win a fight at this point. I think it's really hard for them to actually start the fight. Like it has to be like a Yone, like Yone can't even stack his Q, so it has to be like a Yone ER, which can be easily dodged. Aphelios has both sums, they can kite back. So I think if G2 wants to maximize Baron here, which is kind of what they are doing because they're skipping their soul point for this. If they want to maximize Baron, then they should send Fiora mid so that she can catch this next mid wave and they can go siege mid as well after. But they just send 5 bot. So essentially it's a 5v5 ARAM on the bot turret with G2 having Baron. Eventually they do break the turret through sheer force and they get this inhibitor and now they get their soul. I think they reset. They reset, redeploy, top mid this time, and they do the same thing on top side without Baron. This is... Aatrox is really far out trying to get the bot wave out. Yone is trying to get the wave, but honestly everything at this point is kind of futile because once this Aphelios and Zoe gets set up on a turret, they just have so much pressure on the turret, and there's not really much Order can do to defend. And I think that's a result of the massive gold swing that resulted from that Baron play, as well as G2 getting the Baron buff. So those two factors results in G2 being able to just steamroll the game now. And look at this Karthus. He just gets absolutely popped by Zoe. So like if you compare the way G2 is playing now to how G2 was playing pre-Baron, like they are playing with so much pressure now. Like they're just walking up the turrets, they're crashing waves, and they're sieging, and that's purely off of the gold lead. And that's what should have happened if they hadn't given over so many deaths. And I think overall, if I want to summarize this game, I think G2 played better than Order fundamentally. I think they made a lot of glaring issues and errors and reckless play that resulted in them not being as far ahead as they should have. And Order played well to capitalize on those mistakes, but the game kind of just snowballed, in my opinion, from the level 1. And I think Karthus not being able to do the things that he wanted to do in the early game and constantly being on the back foot, constantly giving Drakes, Rift Heralds, I feel like it all snowballed off of the first bot lane trade going the way it did and resulting in G2 bot lane getting prior because they knew that they were going to get top prior. Fiora even started in lane for it. They have Zoe versus a melee matchup. I think maybe there's a possibility that Yone can get priority in that matchup, but I'm not 100% certain. I think he does win the matchup after a certain point, but it is a hard matchup for Yasuo. For Yone, sorry. So yeah, I think that honestly it was fun to watch that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that too. Like I just wanted to go over it with you guys and kind of give my insight into these games, especially the OCE boys. Give an insight of like how I view the players and how I think they play and stuff. But yeah, if you enjoyed this content, feel free to let me know and I'll do more VoD reviews of more Order games. But yeah, it was fun just going in depth, like kind of getting an insight into potentially what the players are thinking and what's happening on the map, and it's kind of cathartic for me, like looking at esports, competitive league games, talking about it, me being an ex-pro and all. I feel like it was a overall fun experience. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, and let me know if you want to see more of these VoD reviews.